This lightning talk will be on using Git in oddball ways. Or it could also be called Git all the things. So the first usage is something I wrote called Git prime, and it should be called Git autosave. It's based on IDEA and its local history feature that basically constantly records what you do and then lets you roll back. So this has saved my bacon more than once. Git autosave is more flexible because it can track any project. So here's what it looks like. You have your project and your progress is measured this way. So you have Git autosave sitting off here to the side, and essentially it is backed by a Git repository. And here's what your work looks like. So as soon as you add some project files, Git autosave sees those and commits to the Git stash. Now it's important to note that it doesn't interfere with anything you normally use in Git. It doesn't interfere with the Git stash stack. Rather, it writes this commit off to the side, and then it records a log file that grabs the hash, so you can reference back to that change set or commit. So you continue to work, and Git autosave will track what you're doing based on a time interval that you set. So if you don't change anything, nothing happens. But then if you do change something, it will detect that, and again, write that to the stash. And again, continue working and or not changing anything, but Git autosave, as soon as it detects a change, is going to write that out to the repository. So here's some advantages to this. They're all fairly obvious, but Git provides really efficient storage, and it tracks all the files that you want. This will work with any, whether it's a code repository or anything else. And you can always roll back and use all of Git's tooling to compare what's happening. But what it really comes down to is one does not simply lose changes with Git. The next one is tracking configuration files. So you have a server, and say you have a set of files, and somebody has said, hey, we need to reconfigure this. We need to change the proxy or move it to a different cloud hosting service or whatever. So you've got all these files, and you have to make changes, and it's a complete mess because you're editing, deleting, and how do you know what happened? Do you try to write a giant document or what? With Git, it's fantastic. You just issue these three commands: init, add, and commit, and you have done it all. So if your coworker says, "Yo dog, what config changes did you make?" You can simply say, "What if I told you it's already in the repo?" Next use case is Minecraft. You Minecraft players, you know who you are, but for those who don't play Minecraft, this is what a timeline looks like. So you start off, do some mining, farm some animals, create your castle. You're feeling pretty good. You've accomplished something. You've created a masterwork. And then along comes this guy, the creeper. He blows your castle to shreds, or at least blows a giant hole in it, and that brings rage. But if you're tracking your Git world files, or your Minecraft files in Git, you simply issue git checkout in your castle. So if the creepers wreck your castle, you roll that back. And finally, helping a non-technical person deploy changes. So I have a current customer who has a Drupal server, and Drupal can just be thought of as a set of HTML and PHP files, and other stuff. And your non-technical user may have a task to update that with a CSS file or something. So they have their own local copy. So here's an example. They create a CSS file. Now the question is, how do you get that over to the Drupal server? Sure, you can use FTP or SCP or rsync or whatever, but these all have a lot of problems. How do you find remember what the right location should be, remember what changed? Other people might be changing files at the same time. This is a bad solution. So let's figure out a better way. And this solution is actually more comprehensive. It solves a larger class of problems. So you have your servers. In this case, we're going to look at development staging and production. And we're going to use Bitbucket as a cloud-hosted Git repository in this case, and what we're going to do is create a branch for each of these servers. So you have your dev, staging, and production branches. And let's say we have two developers, Jane and Mike. So here's what this is going to look like. Jane makes a commit, and she pushes that up to the repository, and Mike can pull that down. Now Jane says, okay, this looks good. I want to get this pushed all the way to the development server. So what she's going to do is create a tag in her local repository and push that up to Bitbucket. And Bamboo's sitting off here to the side and sees that tag, and it knows that it's supposed to push that commit up to the development server. So that is it. Let's go ahead and look at Mike, commits a change. Jane doesn't necessarily even have to do anything. He creates a tag, pushes that to staging, and again, it gets pushed up to the Drupal staging server. And finally, he creates a commit in production and tags it, and Bamboo pushes that. So again, there's a tremendous number of advantages here. Some are that since we're already going through Bamboo, we're poised to take advantage of automated testing. We can limit who can deploy to certain servers just by checking the author tags in Bamboo. You can do a quick rollback just by pushing another tag. And finally, the most interesting man in the world has this to say. I don't always deploy my changes to production, but when I do, I use Git, Bitbucket, and Bamboo. Thanks for listening.